Hello everyone, welcome to my kitchen. We're going to be doing an Italian-inspired meal this afternoon that is completely gluten-free, grain-free. All that we will be needing is a spaghetti squash as our base. Spaghetti squashes can be found at most local supermarkets. Here I have a small one that I'm going to be working with today. These are a staple in my kitchen. I also have a larger spaghetti squash. I try to buy organic as often as possible. I don't recall where these are from exactly, but the size doesn't necessarily matter here as long as you have a spaghetti squash. A few other ingredients that I have are garlic cloves here. They're already peeled to just save me some peace of mind during the demo. I also have some basil leaves, extra virgin olive oil. I prefer to buy the cold pressed kind. There's a ton of different brands out there, but extra virgin olive oil. And then that is all that I will need for the spaghetti squash portion of my meal. The second portion is just going to be a simple salad. I mentioned in the comments to bring salad fixings of your own. I'm going to be working with just some mixed greens, some tomatoes and olives, as well as some seeds. I'm a fan of putting seeds and berries on my salad, so I have a mixture here of chia and sunflower seeds. For the dressing of my salad, I'm just going to be doing olive oil, half of a lemon, and then pepper. Just keeping it simple today. All right, so this will be able to be viewed on a couple different platforms. We're going to keep it up on Facebook forever and ever, and then also try to transfer it to our YouTube channel, Kalamazoo County Living Well. If you are tuning in right now, or if you plan to watch this video in the future, be sure to comment your name first and foremost. Just type in your name first and last so that Maddie and I can record you for 1 of 5, strive for 5 points. Okay? So first thing with all produce, whether you're eating the exterior skin or not, be sure to rinse it off. I've already washed this one. We have a fruit and vegetable wash as well that we use just to get any extra germs or pesticides, anything that was used during transportation and purchasing of this spaghetti squash. You'll also need a garlic press if you have one. It's not necessary. You can chop the garlic up really small. A spoon to take out the seeds in the center of the spaghetti squash. I also have a large knife here. Be very careful with that. As well as, I don't exactly know what this tool is called, but it's kind of like a paintbrush for cooking. When we make our mixture inside of the squash that we're going to cook it with, that will come in handy. All right, if you have any questions throughout, be sure to just comment them and I will get to them as soon as I can. We're going to start off by cutting our spaghetti squash. Again, be very careful doing this. I oftentimes have someone else cut it for me, but we're going to give it a shot today. Straight down the middle. And you want to cut this long ways. I'll show you in just a second. Now is not the time for an injury. Kind of peel it back. A couple different slices. And then it should, if all goes as planned, it should just pop open for us. Okay, so now we have a spaghetti squash cut long ways in half. We're going to break it open. There we go. And you'll see on the inside, it looks like a pumpkin. For those of you who have carved pumpkins before, it looks like a pumpkin here. So this is when our spoon comes in handy. We won't need that knife again. All right, spoon comes in handy here. We're just going to scrape the inside of the squash out. And we won't need those seeds. Try to get as many of those extra stringy portions as possible. Not that they taste bad, they just aren't the same consistency as what this squash will become. I'm going to scrape that clean. And depending on the size of who you're cooking for, the amount of people you're cooking for. These smaller squashes are really great because you can actually just eat them straight out of the shell. So in terms of meal prepping, if you can find a couple small squashes, then you have your pasta, your spaghetti squash, in its own portion, just based on the size. When this is finished, you can also carve all of it out and put it into an extra Tupperware or something like that. So I'm carving out the inside of the squash. A little tedious here, trying to get all these seeds out. I wish I could time lapse it so you wouldn't have to see me do the hard work, but here we go. We're almost there. Okay, so now we're going to create our mixture inside of each of these little pre-carved cups. So you'll want your olive oil, your basil, and your garlic close by. If there's anything else that you love to add to your pasta, feel free to incorporate that as well. For those of you just joining, be sure to comment your name. If you'd like to receive credit for the Strive for 5, just simply watching this video and learning something new will get you one of the 5 points. All right, so now that this spaghetti squash, this has a lot in the inside. Okay, now that this is all carved out, you see I have all the fixings here. We can just set those aside. Those can go into a compost or trash bin. They won't be needed. Olive oil, I'm not a huge fan of measuring. I know for a live cooking demo, I probably should be more of an advocate for measuring things out. But really, this is just kind of an eyeball. You want to have enough olive oil to coat the entire inside of the squash so that when it goes in the oven, it's ready to go. All right, a little bit of olive oil in each. Also, if you haven't already and you're cooking along with me, be sure to preheat your oven. Where am I finding spaghetti squash now? I purchased these squashes at Sewall's health food store on Oakland. I do know that Midtown Fresh near the Vine neighborhood downtown Kalamazoo also has spaghetti squash. Other than that, I haven't been to Meyer lately, but they usually have it there as well. Hopefully you're able to find some at your local store. I know grocery shopping is a bit of a challenge these days. Basil here, I'm just going to do a couple. I love basil, so a couple drops in there. And then using my garlic press, I'm going to do 2 cloves of garlic. I love garlic. So to me, you can't really overdo it on the garlic. I definitely think some people aren't as much of a fan. So just be mindful of that. Also, if your garlics have started to sprout, no big deal. You can just slice them open and take out that center green part, if you'd like. All right, so we're putting both of our garlic here into our garlic press. And then I'm gonna do about, since I have 2 of them, about 1 garlic per squash. So I'm just gonna press that into the pre-made bowl, take about half of it into this one and half of it into the other squash. All right, now you can use your hands for this. If your hands are clean, you can just kind of like wipe the inside of the bowl. I'm going to use my cooking paintbrush and just kind of take the oil. I'll come closer to show you what I'm doing. So inside we have the garlic, we have the olive oil, and the basil. I'm just gonna use this paintbrush to kind of take it all the way around. Make sure that you get the edges as well. That's where it starts to soften in the oven. Make sure you get the edges. I'm actually gonna add a little bit more olive oil. I should have started this video by reminding all of you that I'm no professional chef. It's a lot of trial and error in this household. So, okay, kind of painting this on there. Make sure you get it nice on the sides, kind of everywhere around, both sides. This is really great for meal prepping, as I mentioned before. You can really just eat it out of the shell, or take all of the spaghetti that it turns into and put it in a larger container. Okay, now these are ready to go in the oven. So if your oven's preheated to 350 degrees, you can set them in a Pyrex or on a baking sheet, or just put them right into the oven. I have another squash that I started before this. So when we're finished with the salad, I'm going to take that out of the oven and show you. Hopefully it'll be ready for us to eat like spaghetti. All right, for salad, I know that salads can be oftentimes a little bit boring, or you put the same toppings on them. That's why I try to encourage everyone to experiment with salad toppings. Try something new, look online. Basically whatever you have in the fridge that's a vegetable and or a fruit can be incorporated into a salad somehow. So what I'm using today, just keeping it simple, I have mixed greens already here in a bowl, half of a lemon, olive oil, and pepper for my dressing that I'm going to make. And then I also have olives and tomatoes. So I'm going to chop these olives up nice and small. You can also keep them whole. Very simple. Salads are good staples for any meal because we obviously want to make sure that we're getting in our darker leafy greens. Not that iceberg lettuce is necessarily bad, but just in terms of nutritional value, it doesn't have as much as, say, a spinach or a darker mixed green. Now I'm cutting up the tomatoes. I'll put those into the salad. Let's see here. Do one more tomato. All right, and then I'm going to take my lemon, just squeeze it over top. I always get some seeds in there. It's okay. We'll pick through them. All right, so squeeze the lemon on top. A lot of extras are thrown into salad dressing these days, so I really prefer to make my own. A little bit of olive oil I'm also going to put on top here. I do understand the value of having a dressing on top of salads. Very few people just want to eat a bed of greens. And then a little bit of pepper too. Pepper is really great for us, so I try to incorporate that as much as possible. As you can see, we have the huge, the huge pepper shaker in this house. And then also, a while ago, I took ball jars and just made my own mixture of seeds and nuts. So this one here just has sunflower seeds and then chia seeds that you can see there on the bottom. So I'm going to sprinkle those on top of the salad as well, just for a little bit extra protein, also to add a nice little crunch to my salad. Some people don't like seeds on theirs. Some people don't like fruit on theirs. So you really have to kind of take what it is you're willing to eat and think about what might be nice in a salad. Okay, so our salad's finished. That was nice and quick. And I'm going to check on that spaghetti squash because if that first one I popped in is done, we are good to go. All right, so it's not quite finished yet, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to show you sort of what it starts to look like once it's been in the oven for a while. You can see the steam coming off it. Depending on the size of your squash, it's going to cook a little bit differently than others. You'll also want a fork. I'm gonna grab a fork here. Depending on the size of your squash, it'll either cook quicker or slower. These are quite small, so I would say maybe 20-25 minutes on these squashes at 350. It's not quite there yet, but what you will notice is once you start to take a fork, you can kind of separate, and this is a good way to check to see if it's done. It should easily come off. That's how I know it's not finished, because it's not quite easily breaking apart here. But you should start to see that it actually looks like spaghetti. Actually has a very similar spaghetti-like texture. With the garlic, the olive oil, and the basil, it should be seasoned enough for you to enjoy right now, but also I've definitely put marinara sauce or some sort of tomato sauce, pasta sauce, right inside of here and just eat it right out of the shell. Be sure it cools down first. So I'm gonna pop this back into the oven. Does anyone watching have any other questions other than where to find spaghetti squash? Or it will keep in your fridge for a few days as well if you want to prep a couple squashes in advance. But my mom is Italian. I mean, we love spaghetti, we love pizza, but it's really nice to have an alternative that looks and tastes like spaghetti, but is actually a vegetable. So I'm having that with my salad here for lunch today. If you do have any questions outside of this video, feel free to shoot me an email. Nancy, I have you recorded for your Strive for 5 today, so that will definitely count. If you're watching this at any time, please comment your name and we'll get you recorded. And stay tuned for more cooking demos to come. Thank you all. Have a good day.